Greetings, friend. Pastor Jeff A. Good here. I want to talk with you this morning about the things that are going on in our city and see if I can give you a sense of what God is saying and what God is doing. I believe that God, He rules, He reigns, He's sovereign, He's in charge, He's in control, and nothing happens that He's not aware of. Nevertheless, I believe that when something happens, it is because God desires to get our attention. Even in the midst of a tragic or difficult or challenging or painful circumstance, we must ask ourselves, what is God saying and what is God showing us? I believe God is saying something to us, and He's saying that it's time to return to Him. It's time for us to sincerely come together, not for a kumbaya moment, but really begin to eradicate the hatred, the wickedness, the envy, the strife that exists in our nation. Additionally, I believe we really have to deal with some of the sacred cows and the hidden things that exist in our communities that we generally don't talk about. Domestic violence, sexual assault, things of that nature that often get swept under the rug and are talked about on the evening news, but they're not talked about in our homes, they're not talked about with our families, they're not talked about in our churches. I believe God is a healer, and He wants to heal His people from all things, of all of our soul's diseases. He wants to heal you, He wants to heal me, He wants to heal our communities. He wants to bridge the gulf and the divide between the haves and the have-nots. He wants to bridge the gulf and the divide between white and black and Latino and citizens and non-citizens and Democrats and Republicans. And the truth of the matter is, it is going to require a sacrifice from all of us. My question for you this morning is, what is it that you can do? What is it that you can do to make one step in this bridge, in this gulf? What is it that you can do to bring one person together with another person? What is it you can do to bring reconciliation from one group to another group? I know that you can't do everything, but I know that you can do something. And there's a few things that you and I have to be able to see if we're going to make a difference. Number one, we have to be able to see the sacred. You know what the Bible says, friend? That the people of God must draw a line between the holy and the profane. There's certain activities, there's certain behaviors that are just not right. They can never be right. We can never make them right. We can never pretend that they're right. We got to draw that line between the things that we approve and things that can never be approved. We can never approve of violence, no matter where we find it, whether it's a man against a woman, whether it's white against black, whether it's police officer against citizen, whether it's citizen against police officer, whether it's demonstrators in the street, whether it's abortion mills that are ripping babies from the wombs of their mom. We can never approve that. We have to separate the sacred from the profane. So we have to be able to see the sacred and keep certain things holy unto God. The second thing that I think is very important for you and I to understand is simply this. We got to see the seed that we need to get growing. God, when a tragedy, when a circumstance, when a situation arises in our life, there's something that you and I have to do if we want to change. Notice, friend, God doesn't change situations. He doesn't change circumstances. God changes me. God changes you. God changes us. And if we're going to change, there's a seed that has to be sown so that we can grow into something bigger, better, and greater than we are today. See the seed that you have to sow and grow in that direction. Here's the third thing. We got to see the success that God has destined for us. God didn't design you to be a failure. God didn't design you to be a loser. He didn't design His church to be taking L's from the adversary. The thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy, but God has come that we might have life and that we might have life more abundantly. You have to see yourself successful. You know, the children of Israel, when God was bringing them into the promised land, they saw giants and got afraid. And the word tells us that we saw the giants and we were like grasshoppers in their sight, so we were in our own sight. Let me tell you something, friend. In this hour, see yourself as a world changer. See yourself as an overcomer. See yourself as a difference maker. See yourself as a value add provider. See yourself as a healer. See yourself as a deliverer. See yourself as an agent and an ambassador of God, ministering Christ to a lost and dying world. See yourself as the solution and not a part of the problem. See yourself as an agent of reconciliation, a minister of reconciliation, salt of the earth and light of the world. Then the fourth thing you got to see, friend, you got to see a sacrifice that you need to make, I need to make. If we're going to go to a next level, if there's going to be a higher height and a deeper depth for us, there's always going to be a sacrifice. Every time God promotes his people, there is a sacrifice that is required. You remember the story of Abram, and I don't need to tell it in any detail in this particular setting, but it wasn't until he took his son up to Mount Moriah and was willing to sacrifice him that God said, now I know that you love me more than anything else. And let me tell you something, America, let me tell you something, church, in order for us to cross this bridge and take it to the next level and go higher, we're going to have to make sacrifices that we may not have been willing to make before, but we got to make that sacrifice because the world needs us. We got to make that sacrifice because the Lord needs us. We got to make that sacrifice because the church needs us. We got to make that sacrifice because our family needs us. This is a season of sacrifice. And here's the final thing, friend. You just close your eyes and see the supernatural results that God has for you. This is a season where we don't get bitter, but we get better because God has called us to better living. It's that season, and I'm looking forward to walking into it alongside you. God bless you. May heaven smile upon you is our prayer.